Good Erev Shabbos. It's Akiva Balter. Normally, we would have had a Sounds Like Lag Baomer Shabbos program. This year, I guess it'll be Sounds Like Lag Baomer Tafshin Pei Aleph, which will be a little bit different than obviously all the other ones.
My friends, in times like these, it's hard to see past the insanity in a reality so uncertain and unknown. Life as we knew it forever changed, and there's no peace of mind to be found. Who can even make sense of tomorrow when our dreams keep crashing to the ground? And yet, as we rise to greet another day, and the sun is still bright in the sky, always a reason to hope for better times. Though it seems like the answer's worlds away, we've got enough, just enough to keep us going, holding on to unbroken simple faith. 'Cause the Yid never breaks, and the Yid never bends, and the Yid never gives up in the night. A Yid perseveres through the deepest despairs. His emunah strengthens him for the fight, and the Yid understands that Hashem has a plan, and that's all it takes to make it through. His Tate loves him, that's what a Yid holds on to. The world went dark, the crowds dispersed on the streets that were once filled with life. But a brilliant light emerged from deep inside our hearts. The shuls were shuttered and still, but our prayers rang through our homes. Instead of looking out for inspiration, we dug deep and found strengths we'd never known. And one more time, we will rise to greet another day, where every moment's more precious than ever, and life's sweetest little joys, they are the treasure. 'Cause when it feels like the answer's worlds away, we've got enough, more than enough to keep us going. We're holding on to unbroken simple faith. 'Cause the Yid never breaks, and the Yid never bends, and the Yid never gives up in the night. A Yid perseveres through the deepest despairs. His emunah strengthens him for the fight, and the Yid understands that Hashem has a plan, and that's all it takes to make it through. His Tate loves him, that's what a Yid holds on to. Cause a Yid never breaks, and a Yid never bends, and a Yid never gives up in the night. A Yid perseveres through the deepest despairs. His emunah strengthens him for the fight, and a Yid understands that Hashem has a plan, and that's all it takes to make it through. His Tate loves him, that's what a Yid
Okay, Rabbi Lowy for Tehillim.
Okay, today is a big day in Klal Yisrael. Lag Baomer is a day of Simcha, like the Ramah brings down in Hagen by Tzah Simcha. And like we all know that if we go to Meron, the Simcha, anyone was any ever to be in Meron on the day of Lag Baomer, it's the biggest Simcha. Everyone's dancing, but inside, yet in the tziyun itself, it's very solemn. Like originally said, Eneveinig is a zoivi Nili Kippur. And Drosen is a zoivi Simchas Torah. Means it's a very awesome day, a day of the David of Shemir Choy is Megala, the Soidus HaTorah. That's all in why we have the torches, the Or Torah that he was Megala, and the Simcha, the getting the Torah is the biggest Simcha. But with the Simcha, you need the Yirah Shemayim. So it's day of every time was a day that we always celebrated, and everyone's really besimcha. It's a day that the 24,000 Talmidim stopped dying. And Reb Shimon, who was one of Shemir Choy, was one of the Talmidim of Akiva. He and Reb Meir, the other three Talmidim, they rejuvenated the world again, started everything again, and that's what we learned from Reb Akiva. You never give up. You never give up. You lose 24,000 Talmidim, you start again. And Mehem, from these 5 Talmidim, the Gemara brings down, the world was dark, empty, desolate. And Akiva went and learned, and one of the biggest Talmidim was Shimon Yochai. And that's why we celebrate in the days of Sphere, when we remember the Akiva's Talmidim that died, we remember the one that was alive. He's connected Kulam. Shimon Yochai is connected Kulam. This one of Shimon Yochai was connected all the 24,000 Talmidim. And look what he did to the world. So that's why it's a day of celebration.
Also the gymnastics.
You celebrate even when things look desolate. Things look very meek. Things look very dark. Akiva never gave up. Akiva never gave up. Akiva knew you go forge ahead. You forge ahead and continue. This year, day of Lag Baomer, we all waited to celebrate, and I was listening to the Adlokas in Meron. I was listening to the Adlokas. I was listening to the Meron Erev Adloka and to the Tolas Aaron Adloka. It's unbelievable. It's unbelievable, the structures of the Adloka. The whole prelude and the whole hadlaka, and when the Kabbalah Zolmach Shemayim, everyone together, Shema Yisrael, hearing the whole Olam, davening Ma'ariv together, and you're hearing the whole Olam, taking Kabbalah Zolmach Shemayim, Shem Elokim, and it was a time afterwards to celebrate, but it was Gilu Beroda. For some reason, the Rabbi Shlita, we don't understand the ways of Hashem. We can't understand, we just know what Hashem wants from us. We don't know why and when. That's the Gemara brings down someone who wants to know the Pnei Olam, that's at the curses. We don't understand Hashem. There's no way in the world we could understand Hashem. What we know is what will the Rabbi Hashem means. What does the Rabbi Hashem want from us? That's all we know. Mo Hashem Shoyim Kol Mo is Mem Hey, the 45 Kedoshim. The 45 Mo Hashem Shoyim Kol, he took from us these 45 Kedoshim. Kiyim Liyira Yisrael Hava, he said, Rabbi Hashem wants from us to do mitzvahs. That's what he wants from us. That's why we know what he wants from us. People want to blame this and that. We know that it's all from the Rabbi Shlita. Everything's miyad Hashem. And the Medrash Bank, the Satan wants always to come. So we shouldn't see the Yad Hashem and blame others. It's the Rabbi Shem wanted it. We don't know why, but we know what he wants from us. He wants us from us to do mitzvahs more, and so one of the things is, if people are in Tzara, Tehillim is always Kal Yisrael. Tehillim was the thing that took us away from all the tzaras. Tehillim was the answer to all the tzaras. Whenever Kal Yisrael is in tzaras, Tehillim, you take the Tehillim with you. Ayid nemt mit sich Tehillim. Tehillim is with the Rabbi Shem. Tehillim, the Rabbi Melech with Davin. The Tehillim should be like the biggest the Torah. It should have the cheshivas of Torah. And in Tehillim you could find everything. You find you become. It gives you the biggest nechama, the biggest comfort. Saying Tehillim is the biggest comfort. And also here, there's never 150 injured and many seriously injured. And our responsibility is for every Yid. What can we do for those Yidden? One thing we could say Tehillim. We could say Tehillim. And the Rebbeinu Shalom, B'kroivei HaKodesh, the day of when the inauguration, the Chanukas HaMishkan, the biggest day in the life of Aaron, the biggest day of the life of Kal Yisrael, when they saw the Gila Ashkenah, that day was the day Achron Mois was the day that the Rebbeinu Shalom said, the take closest ones, and comes by the name of the Rebbeinu Shalom comes sanctified. The Rebbeinu Shalom's name is sanctified. You learn from this. The Rebbeinu Shalom does not do anything for Chas v'Shalom mipieli leseitza arois. The Rebbeinu Shalom does not want to hurt Kal Yisrael. The Rebbeinu Shalom doesn't want to hurt anybody. And it's only, there's a reason why the Rebbeinu Shalom wants from us. So what first, the Tzava Shah is first, what could we do? What mitzvahs could we do? What could we do for this Kedoshim, the 45 Kedoshim, who B'kroivei HaKodesh, in the big day of Lag Baomer, in the Beisai Shel Reb Shimon, in the house of Reb Shimon, in his home, 45 people were trampled. In his home, 150 other people were injured. So the Rebbeinu Shalom wants from us something. So one thing the Rebbeinu Shalom wants is to show us our compassion for others. How could we go and see? I know so many people called me today that they made private adlakas. Should they still continue doing it? How could they do it? You feel with someone else. How could you, when something like this happens? There's so many families. The 45 families never, a chassan passed away and left the kala alone. Parents, children, young children that passed away. The Rebbeinu Shalom took the Bachram, Magid Ashir, Rosh Hashivas, Gedolim, the Kedoshei Oretz. So what the Rebbeinu Shalom wants from us is we should take the Tehillim with us and come closer to the Rebbeinu Shalom through the Tehillim and daven to the Rebbeinu Shalom. And daven to the Rebbeinu Shalom, that's what Rebbeinu Shalom wants. The Kroivei HaKodesh, he wants to become sanctified through them. And sanctified means you become closer to the Rebbeinu Shalom. You do things closer. There's nothing closer than saying Tehillim. The Tehillim has twofold. First of all, for us, and also a benefit for those who need refuahs, those families that need nechamas, the families that are left without a father, left with children that passed away, families that are left away with husbands that passed away, families that were left without manhigim, families that were left without rebbeim, families, nebucholdis, each one of them, if you read what each one of them was, the cheshivas of every one. One, this Kala in Lakewood that lost her chassan, they just got engaged 2 weeks ago, and the chassan passed away. And this the Rebbeinu Shalom wants from us something, and what he wants from us is to try to come closer to him. So we'll say Tehillim, and then we'll speak a little more. So we'll say the Tehillim. We'll start with Lamed Gimel, Kapitel Lamed Gimel, which is Lamed Gimel Baomer, and also it's a kapitel about tzaddikim. Lanu tzaddikim Adonai Lashorim Navas Ilam Hoyda Linoi V'Chinoir the Nebel also Zamrulai, Shirulai Shechada, Shaitibu, Nagin Bisrua, Kiyashad Vadainoi, Kolasebem, everything the Banishim does is straight and forward and honest. Oyev Tzedakah Mishpat, Chesed Adainoi Malar, Ez Vadainoi Shmaim Nasu, Ubruach Piv, Kol Tzavan, Koines Keneit Meyayam, Nois Matzaris Daimais, Yirim Adinoi Kol Oretz, Mimenu Yaguru, Kol Yoshve Sevel, Kioma Vayahi, Utziba Vayamai, Dadoina Hefi, Atzaz Goyim, Heinoi Machshu Zamim, Atzaz Noi Loilam Tamai, Machshu Slibba Vadoid Vadoid, Ashrei Yagoy, Ashadinoi Alav, Kam Bachal Nachlaloi, Mishmaim Hibit Dadoinoi, Roes Kol Bnei Yodam, Chanshifto Yishgiach, El Kol Yoshve Yoretz, Hayoitz Yachad Liban, Hameim Kol Masayim, Ein Melech Noisha B'Rav Koyil, Gibor Loinotza B'Rav Koyach, Sheker Asus L'Shua, B'Rav Chelu Lo Yemalei, Dinei Dinoi El Yireyav, V'Yachel Mechazdoi, V'Hatzel L'Mavetz Nafsham, V'Chayoysam B'Rav, Nafshein Chik Zadinoi, V'Zem Gneinu, Givoyis Machlebeinu, G'Jem Kotshoi B'Tochnu, Yichaz Chadoinu Eleinu, Kash Yichanu Loch, Kapitel Tzadik Aleph, V'Inoyam. We start with the last pasuk from Tzadik. V'hinoyim Adoinoi Eleinu Eleinu Masi Edeinu Koinu Eleinu Masi Edeinu Koinu Nei Yoshev V'Seis Elyoin V'Tzel Shadai Yislainan Oyim Adoinu Machsim V'Tzosi Elahayep Takvoi Ku Yatzilcha Mipach Yakush Medever Avois V'Brosov Yosach Loch V'Sachas Kenokov Taksem Tzim Zosoyach Chayre Amitoi V'Sim Pachad Loila Mechetz Yov Yoimam Deborah boy Yaloich Meketav Yoshua Tziroim Yibam Sitchela B'Vam Menecha Ilecha Lo Yigosh Lag Menecha Sabit V'Shul M'Soshoim Tirakat Todoin Maxin Elyon Samt Menecha Lesin Alecha Ra V'Nega Leika V'Elecha V'Melach Tzavilach V'Shmach V'Chol Dechach Al Kapayim Yisuncha Ven Tigoy V'Ever Aglecha Al Shachal Pesen Tidroich Tirma Yiskefir Yisanin Kimi Choshek Rabbi Teyas Agvei Ki Yodoshmi Yikeim Neim Noichon Noichon Tzach Atzach Abdei Oicham Azbeayu Vareyu V'Shuasi Kupa Palav Shir Amalois Eseina Yalaharim Mi'ayin Yoba Yezri Yezri Mim Adoinoi Oise Shemayim Voretz Al Yitin Lamoid Aglecha Al Yonum Shomrecha Hinei Liyonum Lo Yishon Shoyme Yisrael Haydinoi Shomrecha Tzilch Al Yad Minecha Yoyim HaShemesh Lo Yakeka V'Yereach V'Loila Adoinoi Shmalcha Mekora Yishmas Nafshecha Adoinoi Yishmet Seischa V'Yecha Mi'ato V'Yadoilam Kuf Lamed Shir Amalois Mimamakim Rasicho Adoinoi Adoinoi Shema V'Koili Dienazach HaKashuva Is L'Kol Takanunoi Mavoinoi Sishmaya Adoinoi Miyamoi Yim Chaslicha L'man Tvorei V'Vis Adoin Kivsa Nafshi V'Dvorei Cholti Nafshi Adoinoi Mishaimrim Laboiker Shaimrim Laboiker Yaches Adoinoi K'Madan Chesed V'Aribim Moifedus V'Yivdes Yisrael V'Koil Adoinoi Sar Kufman Beis. Maskil David, Yoisai, Vamaras Villa, Kaili, Aladina Yaza, Kaili, Aladina Yaskana, Neshvil Panosichi, Surasil Panavagi, Disatevil Vati, Datin Swasi, Vayakzual, Tamnu Pakli, Habay Jaminu Reveni Maki, Rabatmanis Meni, Daishanamshi. Zakelecha doinoi matak demech sichel kiberes akayim. Hakshivan asi gedois v'yoid. Hatzei miroi defai kiyam to many. Vaytzim asken avshaloi ze shemecha. V'yachtiu tzadikim. Yisigma ilaloi. Achenu kol beis Yisrael, and soon Matzah Shivya. I'm nim ben bayom ben biyaba shamakim menachem aleim. V'yotzim mitzvah l'racham apela loira. Yeshiva de geula ashur golav zman korev v'noim haramein. Yishabech Hosein Avram Yitzchak Moishado Shlomo Yivorach Mirapes Kol Acholim Kol Anivgoim Meron Erev Shabbos Spal Bavarem Chazak Rochim Alach Malayam Lachlimam Mirapoisam Lachzikam Yakyoisam Yishach Lehem Meheir Fushus Maim Machavirem Shogdem Safro Yisrael the Pus and Epish the Pus Agub Hashur Golav Zman Korev v'noim haramein. So we'll just continue what we spoke before. It's interesting, in this week's parshas, there's the Chassam Sofer has a hesped that he gave in the year 1836, when there was an earthquake in the Galil, and Tzvas and Tveria. That time there was hundreds of people were killed, tzaddikim were killed. The tzaddikim, and so the Beis year, that year, Parshas Emor, the Chassam Sofer gave a hesped on them. Gave a hesped on what happened in Galil. We're also speaking now what happened in Galil, what happened in Meron, and what happened, and like the Chassam Sofer says, that usually the Rebbeinu Shalom, the Choroin Appa of the Rebbeinu Shalom came Al Eitzim V'Alavonim, by the Churban Beis Hamikdash. The Eitzim V'Alavonim, the Rebbeinu Shalom, he says, then there the Rebbeinu Shalom took Kufim. Here the Rebbeinu Shalom took 45 Heilige Neshamas from Klal Yisrael. People, Reichem, in Galait, older people, Bacharim, children, all the Rebbeinu Shalom took them. So he writes there, what does the Rebbeinu Shalom want from us? What's will the Rebbeinu Shalom? Why did this happen? So he said, he got a letter from Eli Dushnitzer from Yerushalayim. And Eli Dushnitzer said that one of the things, we know that the Beis Mikdash is chorov because of Sinas Chinam. He says, Rebbeinu Shalom want, maybe we should be more tolerant to each other, caring about each other, doing for each other. Being, so from Sofer writes that, we know that the Beis Hamikdash was chor for that reason, and that's why it wasn't built yet. We just know that we now went through the Avelus of Sphira, which was through the Nahag Kovei Zeh, and they didn't, the reason was because they didn't understand the importance of being tolerant and the importance of the Netziv writes in the Akdama of HaMikdavar that the Rebbeinu Shalom doesn't want tzaddikim who always criticize others and fight with others and fault. It wants people who, adrabah, see the good in other people, see how we could help other people, see how we could be good to others. So the day that the Mason stopped, and that day the Rebbeinu Shalom made 45 Mason. So the Rebbeinu Shalom will have units. The Rebbeinu Shalom, and I think more than that, I think this year, the whole year, it's a year, started last year, Adar, is a year of a Magefa. It's a year of Midas Adin. But the question everyone asks, everyone runs to Reb Shimon to get help. Everyone, there's all kinds of stories. You go to Reb Shimon will help you. How could it be in his home? In Reb Shimon's home, something like this could happen. I think the answer to that is, the Chayodim writes in Zichron Toras Moshe, that why do you find sometimes, we know Shlicha Mitzvah in Nizakim. A person goes to us a mitzvah, nothing will happen. And sometimes you find the person goes to do a mitzvah, something happens. So he writes a Mari de Gevart. He says, Rebbeinu Shalom, Atzur Tom V'Alai. Everything Rebbeinu Shalom does is exactly with a cheshbon. If something happens while you're doing a mitzvah, there's a simon Rebbeinu Shalom is showing you something. He's showing you that really there should have been a much worse gezerah. But because you're doing the mitzvah was Megan. It looks like, for some reason, in this year of Megefa, this year of Midas Adin, Chas v'Shalom, much more should have happened. So Rabbi Shem is showing on this day of Lag Baomer where this chus of Reb Shimon is Megan. On this day of Reb Shimon, they says that he could Mizaka Klal Yisrael. The day of Shimon, who is always the sword the toiv in Klal Yisrael. Shimon Kedai, Reb Shimon Lismach Olav. So on that day in his home, and the day that everyone runs there for Yeshuas, everyone runs for Yeshuas, Rabbi Shem showed that this is going to be the last thing. These are going to be the karbonos, and these karbonos will be mechaper on Klal Yisrael. These are the karbonos of Klal Yisrael, but Kroi by Kodesh, not the Vaviyu. These are the karbonos of Klal Yisrael, and it happened by Reb Shimon, with the schus of Reb Shimon, because the schus of Reb Shimon is as these people, everyone who died, they all really mekadosh Shem Shemayim. Everyone who passed away, all those holy neshamas, they all are kapara for Klal Yisrael. So what Rabbi Lowy did was in this holiest day, the day where it's the day that the schus of Reb Shimon, the schus of Reb Shimon with his Torah, with the Zohar Kodesh, and all the schus of Reb Shimon, the Rabbi Shem showed this should be the end. This should be the end. It's a year of Midas Adin. It's a year, and the Rabbi Shem just wants from us what we should do. We have to become closer to Rabbi Shalom. We have to understand that's what Rabbi Shem wants from us. We have to try to do mitzvahs better. We have to try to find out machabera better. And everything we do should be with the schus. The Sofer at that time writes, Emar b'marta, you tell Yidden who they are, the Bnei Aharon. Say we're Kedoshim. We're Klal Yisrael, we're special people. Every one of us is very special. Everyone has a special derech of avodas Hashem, special way. So, on a day like this, we should be besimcha that the Torah gave us, the Rebbe Shem gave us Reb Shimon Yochai and the Rebbe Shalom, and that not more died. That only 45. Every one of these 45 hurts us. I remember when first the reports came 10, then 15, then 20, then 30, then 35, then 40, and then 45, 44, and then 45. Everyone, but we have to thank the Rebbe Shalom for saving all those thousands and thousands that nothing happened to them. And there's so many stories of people who mamish were right next to it. Everything is bashgacha pratis. Who should go? There's the Rebbe Shalom is decrees who should pass away, who shouldn't. The Rebbe Shalom, so this everything, but we have to remember that, and what we learn from Bakiva and we learn from Shimon Yochai, that you continue. You start to have to be ma'abel, and that's what the Sefer writes. You have to be ma'abel. You have to mourn for these people. You have to mourn, and Chaz Hashem kolam misatzel. And it says that someone it's brought down the Svarim Yom Kippur, and the Lein Achrimais, and the Lein about the Misa of Nil Devaviyu. Anyone who's married the Mois, anyone who cries on that will be zoicha that he'll never lose children. He'll be zoicha that a person who cries, that he says we have to cry for these people. We have to be ma'abel and we have to be mas for these people. And we learn from every one of them. Go look through the history of you'll see every one of them are such kosher people. People are Membitzi Torah, people are learning Torah. One Baruch who just now to Eretz to learn. He came to learn. And they're all people sitting learning and doing mitzvahs and caring for the Rebbeinu Shalom. Rebbeinu Shalom wants us to learn from these people. But the main thing is Rebbeinu Shalom wants us to wake up. He wants us to wake up, and the biggest way you could do it is to be b'simcha. Simcha means that you know everything you're doing is right. If you follow the derech Hashem, what the Rebbeinu Shalom wants, then so we could. Since the Rebbeinu Shalom made in the day of Gilu Birada, in a day of Simcha, there's a Rada. There's also and the Rada brings the Gilu. If you know what you're doing, the right thing is to mourn for them. As also be Simcha. You have to know that people ask to make adlokas. You make that locker, but you also have to be mabel. You have to know that we lost so many nefashos, and so many nefashos need refuahs, and it's unbelievable. The line of people, hundreds of people, are lining up to get blood. all kinds of people, to give blood for all those victims. And that's what we need. And like from Sefer writes also, the second thing what we have to remember is to care about these people. Many people are left now without a breadwinner. They're left with, to make funds, to help these people, support these people. And that's what Rabbi Shalom wants from us. Rabbi Shalom wants from us to show the care we have for each other, to show the tolerance we have for each other, show the covet we have for each other. And that's where Shemi Rechoy came. Shemi Rechoy always, that's what he said, to see the Tzelem Elokim of every person, the holiness of every person, and to see the toiv of every person. And Rabbi should help that we should all have a Freilich Shabbos, a Simcha Shabbos. But we have to remember also, we have to feel bad for those who can't spend in Shabbos anymore, for the families who are missing somebody this Shabbos, families that are missing either those never who perish, or either those who can't now and need a refuah. We should down to Rabbi Shalom, do mitzvah, do an extra mitzvah for them. Light candles a little earlier for the schus of these people. Do down a little better tomorrow for them. Do an extra mitzvah. Call somebody that needs a phone call. Do chesed for someone. Give tzedakah for them. The Rabbi should help. That should be. This should be. Yishamalei lamadai yomel tzeraseinu dai. This should be the end. We had enough already. We lost the love for enough people this year. This should be the end, and they should be our kapara. They should be our korban, the kapara, and the schus. Understanding this, one will help that we won't see any more tzorahs. We should be zeicha through them to see and to be as hakoil the meher b'yamei nomen. So all of you have a freilich Lag Baomer and a good Shabbos. Thank you for listening.
Thank you, Rabbi Lowy, for putting some kinds of words or semblance of a frame on yesterday's events. I've unmuted people. If you want to wish Rabbi Lowy good Shabbos, now's the time to be able to do it. Really, Rabbi Lowy, thank you very, very much.
Yeah, have a good Shabbos. Thank you.
I get from Shabbos 12. I get from Shabbos.
Shabbos to the Rav. Shabbos, good Shabbos.
Shabbos.
Shabbos, thank you for giving us chizuk, Rav Lowy.
You're welcome for listening. Good Shabbos.
Thank you, Rabbi Lowy. Good Shabbos. Good Shabbos.
Shabbos, Shabbos.
Shabbos, it's Shabbos.
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 Say it again. Say it again.
Shabbos.
Good Shabbos.
לצון נפשי אוי שייני אוי אוי למען חסדי